I know that I talked to various friends, some of them around the country, who tune in and listen online Friday mornings, and this is their appointment radio every week. We talk firearms during this segment, and we're joined in studio by Forrest Anderson from Washington Street Pawn here in Twin Falls, and of course Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense. We want to mention, actually, you are corporate-wise, Patriot Defense is based in Buell.
Yeah, yeah. I do it over at Buell at my house. So everything's there. I have the classroom there. I got a
Conference center, really.
well, it's nice, isn't it?
It is.
It's nice. Got a little range. I'm still working on that, but we're still using that. As we come into the colder winter months, we'll probably be having some of our classes over at the indoor range over in Buell. It's getting a little cool out. This I have a class this month on the 21st, and it'll be at my house. We'll use the outdoor range. I got another one in November. It's going to try to be held indoors, but we'll see what happens.
We want to point out for contact information if someone wants to take the class.
Yeah, get a hold of me. You can call me, you can text me, area code 620-794-6223. That's area code 620-794-6223. My next class actually is on the 21st of this month. I still have room there, and I just opened up another one in the parking lot here before I walked into the radio station for November 11th. You can also find me on Facebook under Patriot Defense.
I wanted to point out, I'm just looking at an email I just got from Henry Rifle, and it's accessories for hunting season. Like hat to keep you warm, but if you need stuff like this, Washington Street Pawn, actually, you don't have to wait for it to come in the mail. You just go down and see you.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff, all kinds of gear. I mean, if you need some like camo, we got a bunch of digital military camo. We sell the shirts for $5, even if you're looking for a Halloween costume. I got a ton of 30-06, like military full metal jacket stuff. If you're looking to sight in your old 30-06, I got a bunch of ammo for that. I got a bunch of 8mm Mauser if you need some ammo for that. All kinds of stuff. We had a good response to our deal on 9mm. We ordered a bunch of that. Laptops right now, I got them coming out my ears, and I put out a ton of tools. If you're a construction worker, I got circular saws and air nailers, and we've put a bunch of stuff out. It's going pretty fast, but we're getting a lot in.
You also mentioned just before we went on air, you've been doing a fundraiser for a neighbor who was badly injured in an accident at home, and
Yeah,
it's going really well.
yeah, the Fitzpatrick family. We've had a great response to that. The Murtaugh True Value out there, Brad Perkins does a great job. He's been helping us. They sold some tickets. Joe's Market out there in Murtaugh sold some tickets, and we've been selling them at the store. And at the store alone, we've sold about $2,200 worth of tickets, and I know that they've sold some too. So I think we're going to come out pretty close to 3,000 on that fundraiser. So that's been great. We really appreciate people coming in. We just had a guy come in last night and just buy $500 worth, just out of the blue. So it's been nice to see the community step up. I mean, there's been fundraisers for things all over the country this year with the
Hmm.
natural disasters, but people really focused on this. We got a couple other little ones coming up. We've got one coming for No Shave November, which focuses on. We're doing that with St. Luke's. That focuses on men's cancer. We're donating a Ruger pistol for that, and then we've also got one. They're actually doing it tomorrow night um, for St. Luke's for a fundraiser for part of the hospital. We're donating a pistol, and Todd's donating a class for that. So,
Yep. I was going to say that no shave. I know the sheriff's department usually participates in that. That's the only time you'll see deputies with a beard is in November,
yep.
and then they shave it off
Jack
generally after that.
Johnson does it too,
Hey,
I
I'm
think.
pretty excited. I can't grow a full beard, but met with my boss yesterday, and they changed the rule at work, so I'm going back with the goatee, man. This has been on for. I've been married like 21, 22, I don't know, somewhere around there years, and
You should know that exactly, right down to
yeah,
the.
I don't even know my kids' birthdays, so. But I've had a goatee the entire time and had to shave it off when I got this new job, and it just irritated me.
We wanted to point out you can reach us today if you've got a question about firearms training, and perhaps some changes in laws as well. Telephone number 208-736-0300, 208-736-0300, 11 minutes after 9 o'clock. I brought up in the last hour of the program, Tucker Carlson did a segment last night on his television program where he talked about the Las Vegas investigation. And he's not a conspiracy theorist, but he says there's so much confusion right now. And he talked about how I mean, the shooter's house got broken into. I mean, no one was watching after it. And you wonder, how did it get broken into? Who would break into it? What were they looking for? We don't really know timelines yet. There's so much confusion. Why would anyone go ahead with passing laws until we know all of the details of what really happened?
They want to get it done before the panic dies down.
Yeah, and that's just, the old adage, strike while the iron's hot.
Yep.
And that's what they're trying to do. While they're going to try to take advantage of the public's panic and
Their
the public's
fear.
And they do so much off fear.
They do.
Politicians, that's their
Yeah.
favorite tool. They make us scared of each other, liberals. And, if you get most liberals and conservatives together, once you start talking, you find out that there's just a couple issues that you separate on, but most issues, everybody's on the same page. But the politicians would love to have us think that we all hate each other and we're all a million miles apart. We need to be afraid of each other because that's what they can run on. That's election fodder. All the Jesse Jacksons of the world, same thing. They love race baiting because as long as we think that we need to be afraid of people of color, and as long as people of color think that they need to be afraid of whites, that's great for them because that keeps their checks coming in.
Yeah.
It's interesting how they keep the divide, between us. They don't want people to get together and actually talk. They after this bump stock thing, they showed a picture on the news of an AR-15 talking about how bad the bump stocks were, and this picture of this AR-15 was outfitted with, it had lasers, it had a grenade launcher hooked up to it, everything, but there was no even bump stock in the picture. But they kept talking about how bad bump stocks were, and then they showed this fully outfitted AR-15. They want to keep that divide there.
Well,
Yeah.
we've talked about that Steven Crowder video where he shows people the rifles with wooden stocks and the rifles then with black stocks. And they think that the rifle with a black stock or with more metal on it is more dangerous than the one with a wooden stock, and sometimes it's the same rifle.
Yeah, exactly. It's just furniture. Like the bump fire stocks, really, if you're going to be tactical or going to be useful, are pretty useless. I mean, you can dump a mag in a hurry, but you can't be very accurate, and it takes a little manipulation to make it happen. But so they're good for kind of one thing, and that's the scenario. If you want to just dump a magazine of ammo, they're fun for that. I mean, shooting full auto's fun, but
Spend a lot of money that way,
yeah,
too.
it gets
Yeah.
very expensive.
Yeah.
We have a caller looking to join us. And again, the number 208-736-0300. Caller, you're up next. You're on the air on KLIX.
Everybody has a device, a phone, and I don't know that they know anything more. In fact, they may be dumber than they used to be. And they don't take the time to learn about what is important. So when you show a picture of an AR-15 that's got everything but a bump stock on it, they probably don't even hear the rest of the story. They just assume. And so many people across this nation don't ever take the time to know better, and they'll be led down the primrose path by anybody, and they don't care to get any better. And the thing of it is I'm tired of being sucked down the toilet by people who vote for losers who have never taken the time to understand their history, the Second Amendment, free speech, free market capitalism. I'm sick of it. I'll hang up.
I'm going to add to that just quickly, and you guys can comment, but last week, we had members of Congress who didn't know what a bump stock was. Look, they don't know. A lot of the public doesn't know, and now they're going to be voting on something they didn't know anything about a week ago.
Yeah, it's the caller was right. We have information at our fingertips, but you know what? No one wants to look it up. No one wants to know. They just want to do what they're told. They want to believe what they're told. It's bad. It's bad. If my site says it's bad, it must be bad, and I'm going to go with it. Another picture I saw was, it was a Twitter post or whatever of a sniper rifle, and someone said, "Oh man, thankfully this guy didn't have a bump stock on the sniper rifle. Can you imagine the destruction that he would have caused?"
Yeah. Well, I had to, right off the bat, Hillary Clinton said, "Can you imagine if that guy would have had a suppressor on that gun?
Yep.
Would have made absolutely no difference. Still would have been loud." And the thing is like they don't even know.
They
The guys
don't.
investigating don't even have this deal nailed down yet. There's so many leads they haven't tracked down. There's so many inconsistencies. Now they're saying that the security guard got shot before
Mm-hmm.
he started shooting at the crowd, and the police weren't called, which seems really
I,
weird to
I
me.
I actually read this morning. There's just a small little tidbit about it that there's actually another employee employee of the Mandalay that got shot before the shooting even took place, and no one's even talked to him. They rushed him off, and no one's heard anything from him since.
And again, we're going to make all of these hard decisions without knowing what
Yeah.
really happened here through all this confusion. You know, when we speak about this, and one of the big sponsors of a bill to relax the restrictions on suppressors had been Senator Mike Crapo. And it looks like that won't happen now anytime soon. He's going to lose all of his potential co-sponsors with all of that. But the newspaper up in Boise made a comment the other day. I read the headline. It said, Idaho's congressional delegation is silent on Vegas shooting, as if somehow the liberals who run the newspaper want them all to come out and condemn gun ownership or something. And because they didn't, it's an opportunity for the liberal media to go hammer them.
They weren't silent. They made a statement. And what they said was, we need to find out what's going on first before we're not going to basically climb on this pile of bodies and use that as political fodder, one way or the other. I've already had gun distributors calling me, trying to push guns, they're trying to stir up the panic again. They love panics because people buy guns they don't need. You would be surprised how many guns I buy from people a year after one of these panics. They're like, well, I bought this in a panic and I've never shot it. I just got convinced that I needed one, because they said I couldn't have one. We let politicians, we let corporate America push us into way too many decisions in our life. Politicians love it. I mean, and there's some good politicians out there, but there's a lot of bad ones. It's just the opposite police officers. There's a lot of great police officers. There's a few bad ones. There's a lot of bad politicians. There's a few good ones. We as people need to quit being sheep and letting these guys get us all revved up and hating each other. I mean, I think that's a cure to a lot of this. There's so much stress in this country. There's so much anxiety. I mean, they're constantly pushing us to the edge with anxiety and stress. We just need to stop, and we need to get together as a community, both sides. And we need to quit yelling at each other. And we need to quit trying to shove our opinions down each other's throat. If you're a gun owner, awesome. But that doesn't mean everybody has to own a gun, right? And if you're not a gun owner, that doesn't mean you have to try to take away everybody else's guns. We just need to pull together as a community. We live in this great place.
Got to keep in mind, some countries, of course, they promote gun ownership. In Switzerland, you're basically the militia because they don't have a huge standing army. And in Israel, everyone is armed because there's a danger just a few miles away, no matter where you go.
Yeah.
We want to take a short break. We've got more coming up. Todd Eccles and Forrest Anderson joining us in the studio this morning. We're talking firearms. 20 minutes after 9 o'clock. We're at 40, finally, breaking the 40 mark this morning on News Radio 1310, KLIX, and NewsRadio1310.com. Todd Eccles is with Patriot Defense. Forrest Anderson with Washington Street Pawn. Bill Cowley with you as well this morning. Our top story on News Radio 1310, KLIX, and NewsRadio1310.com. We're talking firearms. It's 42 at 923. Telephone number, if you've got a question or comment for the show, 208-736-0300. That also means I got to check text messages too, because sometimes they're overlooked at, and I get off the air, and we've during this segment we've got text messages that tend to come in. We were talking though off air. A lot of people will be going out hunting, or they already are hunting. And when it comes to firearms, obviously, generally how it's done, it's not often done by trying to chase the animal down and wrestle it to death, but there's some safety involved and everything else too. And I'm sure for us, a lot of people looking for maybe something. Well, if you want, a lot of people want to go out there, I think, and impress everybody. That's not the goal, but sometimes people come to the shop and they're looking maybe to have the shiniest rifle in the forest.
Yeah, people like.
No pun intended.
Yeah. There's, like me, I like to personalize my stuff. I like it to look like I want it to look. I usually hunt deer and elk with a Model 99 Savage, and 300 Savage has been in my family since the 1940s. I mean, the reason I hunt with that, I can't take as long a shots as I can with other stuff, but I hunt with it because it's got the mojo. It's got You
Yeah.
know, it means something to me. Being out there with my boys means more to me than even if we don't get anything, just spending a day. But there are a lot of people out in the field right now. So
Tons.
it's important to be very safe. Don't shoot at movement. Be sure of your target. Be sure of your backstop. Make good decisions. Let's not leave. I hate coming across wounded animals out there. So make a good shot. Some of these guns will shoot 1,000 yards. The amount of people that can actually put a shot on target at 1,000 yards is very small. Yeah, your gun will shoot that far, but can you ethically make that shot? Can you then find the blood trail and track the animal? Make good ethical shots. 350 and in. That's for most stuff. That's a good range.
If you're shooting at 1,000 yards, I personally, this is my opinion. I don't think you really need to be shooting anything over about 400 yards, if that. But there's a lot of ground between you and 1,000 yards, or you and 800 yards, and what's in between there? Who's in between there? You don't always know. You need to understand that and be aware that there are other people out there. Now, General Deer around here opened on the 10th, which was Tuesday. And I saw quite a few people out then. I took the day off and went out. It's going to be even worse tomorrow, because it's going to be the first Saturday. Everyone's going to have off work. Everyone's going to go out tomorrow.
Now, what do you like to use when it comes to firearms?
When I am hunting deer and stuff, my go-to rifle is I use a 270. It's a pre-64 Winchester Model 7270, and kind of like Forrest, it was my grandpa's, and I love that gun. It's the one I started on. That's the only thing I've ever used to shoot at or take hunting to anything, any big game animals. And I look at my kids, and they've got a little 243 and a 7mm Mod 8, and they're light and they're kind of fun to shoot. But whenever I go hunting, I got to pick up that wood-stocked rifle, and it's just got a bunch of history. The bluing is just perfect. You know what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
Forrest. It's beautiful.
Well, we talked before about how if you're buying a pistol, you got to be comfortable with what you're going to be handling.
Right.
And I would assume it's the same way whether you're out with a rifle somewhere or with a shotgun even as well. You've got to have something that you can handle, number one. If you've got something that's too long, I remember my grandfather gave me an old long rifle that had been in the family for years, an old Kentucky long rifle when I was a kid. And the thing was, more than twice as tall as I was. You don't want somebody walking around with something that's too much to handle.
Well, yeah, you got to be able to comfortably shoot it, and if you're going to flinch, if you're shooting at an animal, let's say a deer, an elk, antelope, whatever it might be, and the thing's too long for you and it kicks, the recoil is too much for you, and you're going to flinch, then you're possibly not going to be on the mark with your shot. You could wound an animal, it could run forever. That's not a good ethical thing. Get a gun that fits you.
You could hurt yourself too. You could
Yeah.
scope yourself above your eye. You could
Oh,
break
yeah.
your trigger finger, and then you're done for the day. Nothing's worse
Yeah.
than getting on a mountain. And I've heard all the stories. Guys forgot their ammunition, so they get on a mountain and forgot their ammunition. They get on the hill and they haven't sighted the rifle in. When they look through the scope the first time, the crosshairs are turned sideways because it's broken. Be prepared. Take some safety stuff. I always take candles.
Yeah.
Lighter, some stuff to eat, warm clothes. You can always take clothes off, but if you don't have them, you can't put them back on. Make it a good experience for your kids. Make it fun. So they'll be lifetime sportsmen. If you go out there and you're too hardcore on them and they don't have fun, then they're not going to ever want to do it again. And the last thing we need is to lose more sports people. We don't want a bunch of old guys out there hunting and no kids. We need the kids.
I go out to it's an open unit. It's 46. A lot of people hate that unit. It's big. There are deer out there, but you got to look hard for them. And I go out there, and I've got a ranch that I'm allowed to hunt on. And my buddy owns the ranch, and his son, it was his first year hunting, and his son was hunting with his granddad this year, and he said, "Hey, stay off this part of the ranch. That's for them, for until they get their deer down." So I did that, and I stopped by the house, and all of a sudden his son comes running in the house, and he just shot his first deer. And I was like, well, I'm thinking, well, where's your grandpa? Grandpa's slowly walking down the gravel road. I think this kid shot his deer and ran all the way back to the house because he was so excited. And then about 30 minutes later, there's pictures. And what a neat deal. The grandpa hadn't hunted for a long time because he didn't have any kids that were interested in hunting. And he just got back into it because he had a grandson that was interested in it. And then I saw a picture last night of the grandpa took a little buck out there too. And so just what a neat thing, that time you get to spend with your family to develop those memories. It's pretty special moments that you can make in the field.
We want to point out too that in some parts of the country, I've been getting messages from a fellow who listens to our program online and enjoys the show, enjoys the programming at KLIX, and he wants to relocate here because he's a conservative living in California, but he doesn't believe in hunting. And I told him, I said, there are going to be certain aspects you've got to get used to with living in Idaho that are deeply ingrained in the culture, and that's going to be one of them.
He needs to come see us, and me and Forrest will take him out hunting. Let's do it.
We got more coming up. It's 9:30. Forrest Anderson from Washington Street Pond in studio with us. Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense, and Bill Colley on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Talking firearms until 10 o'clock this morning with Forrest Anderson from Washington Street Pond, Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense, Bill Colley with you as well. If you had a question or comment, feel free to reach out to us at 208-736-0300. I have a call that came in, but it came in from a Michigan number. I don't think it was anyone came in on my cell too, so they're not probably with a question or comment for the program. And I just did the reverse lookup, and it's one of those bad calls that people end up getting that, it's.
And I was just hoping we reached to the far corners of the United States. Our show went nationwide.
We do have folks listening at the on the Atlantic coast, so
that's cool.
We reach into the heart of Winnemucca.
There you go.
Yes. I wanted to point out too. You can always email me, and these two oftentimes they get people contacting them via text messages while they're actually on the air. We should review though a little bit about your contact information.
Yeah, you can call or text me at area code 620-794-6223. That's area code 620-794-6223. I've got a class coming up this month on the 21st. I still have, which is just real shortly here, I still have room left in there, and I have got another enhanced permit class coming up on November 11th, right before my elk hunt starts. So get that taken care of. If you're interested in that, let me know. You can find me on Facebook under Patriot Defense. Like the page. And, I was doing podcasts for a while, and then I kind of got really busy during the summer, but the weather's cooling off. I'm starting to slow down, so I'm going to try to develop this back into a habit again. So once I do that, I'll let everyone know, but hopefully those will start up soon. And, they're fun to do, so.
Want to point out, if you'd like to reach Forrest, he's easily found here in Twin Falls.
Yeah, 321 Washington Street. We're 3 blocks south of Addison on Washington. Phone number is 208-735-0012. Or you can find us on Facebook under Washington Street Pond. Send us a message there. Or just stop in. There's always some sort of craziness going on there. We're building something out of parts or just messing with something or putting stuff out. I mean, there's always some sort of adventure at the pawn shop. So stop in and say hi. We got a lot of great deals. We got a lot of interesting stuff. We got one creepy doll left. A few years ago, we had a lady come in and sold us this doll collection. And why I bought it, I don't know. But I've got one of those creepy dolls left. So if you're looking for target practice or you want to freak somebody out for Halloween, come buy this creepy doll.
I think Bill needs to buy it, and then he needs to take a picture of it with his cats.
Yeah. Tucker would have it torn apart in 5 minutes. So
depends on how creepy it is. Maybe the creepy doll would tear Tucker apart.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you got a cat the size of a dog, though,
yeah,
they pretty much can handle themselves. We were talking a little bit about hunting season, and most people who are hunting, though, even though you go out with a rifle, most people still carry a pistol with them as well, because there's going to be sometimes instances where you may need that a pistol or a revolver while you're hunting too, and not to bring an animal down, but there's going to be maybe a moment where you might need it.
There could be. I mean, it depends on where you're hunting. There's other things that run around out there, and you got coyotes, you got wolves, you got bears. You come up across something that's rabid. Maybe in an extreme circumstance, something happens and you drop your rifle, but you can't get to it, but your handgun is still in your bag or on your hip or whatever, and you have it as well. Or maybe you just see a rabbit you want to shoot and you don't want to shoot your 270 at it.
Or a wounded animal, as you pointed out earlier, Forrest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the way the rule reads, if you shoot it, you better put a tag on it.
Yeah.
You better have a tag, but you can always contact the Fish and Game or something like that and get their approval. But also, you may have to defend yourself. There's been several people that have shot things and then had their game taken from them by other hunters. So just be safe out there and kind of watch out and let's nail some poachers this year. I
Yeah.
would love that. Look for guys who are in areas where they're not supposed to be.
We have a caller with us. Caller, you're up next. You're on KLIX at 9:38. Oh, I guess our caller decided to try again later. Please do try, though. We've got a break coming up in about 80 seconds. But you wanted to add something.
Yeah, I just the story I heard, the guy that teaches my law enforcement portion of the class, I was talking to him yesterday or a couple days ago, and he was telling me that there was a deer that was hit by a car, and he got called by Fish and Game, and he had to come out and help put the deer down. And he wanted to use his rifle, but he was instructed to use his handgun, and he carries a 40 cal. And he had to shoot the thing 3 or 4 times in the head with his 40 cal, and it never did die all the way. So that's just a little caliber debate right there. 40 cal did not do the job, people.
Shot placement.
There's going to be somebody listening right now who's, oh, he did it again.
Yeah.
We want it.
One thing I'd love to do, though, this time of year is nail poachers. I
Yeah.
mean, there's plenty of people who have sour grapes they didn't draw. We all have the same odds. We all put in. There's a lot of. I didn't draw for any deer hunts or anything this year. We got a second choice elk hunt that anyone could have drawn, obviously, because it didn't tag out. But look for people who aren't supposed to be there. Look for guys who are putting pictures up of deer, and the unit they said they shot it in isn't open yet, or they weren't in that unit.
Or if you see something sketchy out in the field and you know that they came in this truck, take a picture of the truck. Take a picture of the license plate. Just kind of log it. Turn in that information to Fish and Game and see what happens.
And the only deer I've ever gotten in my life was with an Impala. So we've got, that's a little redundant. It's 9:40. We've got more coming up with Todd Eccles and Forrest Anderson. Bill Colley with you too, talking firearms this morning until 10 o'clock on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Well, it turns out I'm not the only one in studio who's actually taking out a deer when I'm on four wheels. It seems to be universal in this studio at the moment. There was a woman I worked with years ago, and she lived in some rural part of Pennsylvania, and we were working in Binghamton, New York, which is just north of Scranton. The one's on one side of the state line, the other. But she would drive a good hour home from work every night back down towards Scranton, and it filled with deer everywhere, and that it's pretty mountainous in that area. So she's driving home one night, and she hits a deer. She ends up taking the car to the body shop, and they do all the work and do all the repairs. She gets the car back the next week. First day back at work, she's driving home again, and an 18-wheeler runs over a deer in front of her. It pops out the back windows and lands right on her windshield and spiderwebs it. So she turns around, takes the car back again a second time. They look at her like, what are you doing back here? But some people have just no luck whatsoever. It's the only luck they have is bad luck. But we do want to point out we're talking firearms today on Top Story. Forrest Anderson from Washington Street Pawn, Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense, and Bill Colley. And you can reach the program 208-736-0300.
I want to pose a little project.
Yeah.
For this group. If we're all still doing this come next hunting season, I think we need we can even talk about it on the show as we do it. We need to get Bill out to shoot a rifle, and we need to get him a deer. We need to take him deer hunting. That would be fun.
I shot was with you.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, we'll take him out. He actually shot the gun fine. He shoots good, but we'll get him trained up on it, get him a rifle, and get him out.
And maybe we can do some video, throw it up on YouTube, and it'll be fun.
I love that one part of Shaw shooting where you have a group of automobiles, so it'd be like an urban warfare type of situation. But then you have the lettered and numbered targets. And as you were telling me, Forrest, people call out the letter or number, and you have to be proficient enough to follow that number or letter, find it. And it's about timing.
It really makes you think. I mean, rather than anyone can stand there and mow down steel targets, but when you have to think, okay, I got to shoot alpha blue, then I have to shoot 15. Your mind has to actually work, and you have to. What they're training there is target identification. The same way when we run on the range with steel targets. We have some with square heads and some with round heads. The round heads are good guys, square heads are bad guys. They're both painted same size, but you have to identify your target before you pull the trigger.
We have a caller with us. Caller, it's 9:45. You're up next. You're on KLIX.
Well, I got a couple of questions for the gun guys. you see a lot of Magnum mania in your shop where somebody comes in, they want a bean field rifle, and no, I have to have something that I can hold dead center and shoot out to 400 yards without compensating. And of course, you pay for that in recoil, and you pay for that, as you mentioned, that don't develop a flinch. But a lot of people that I know, they would be better off with a less powerful caliber that they can actually shoot, such as a 270 or a 7mm Remington Express. Instead, they got to have, oh no, I need something to reach out and touch.
Yeah, I love that 300 Savage, 308, 708, even 243 is really good. What hunting is hunting. Doesn't mean I see something from 1,000 yards away and I'm going to set up and
That's not hunting
blast
anymore.
away. That's not hunting. That's target shooting. But you're right. A lot of people do come into the shop and they think, I'll never forget, I had this experience. We had a 300 Ultra Mag, Remington Ultra Mag. These things kick, and this was in a particularly light setup. Guys, like, I'm buying my first rifle. I need a 300 Ultra Mag. That's what it said in the magazine. Well, I talked to him, tried to talk him out of it. He had to have it. And I'm like, these rifles really kick. Well, he ended up buying it, and he went out, and he was back a week later.
Hated it, didn't
Wanted
he?
to return it. And he says, well, I can't hit anything with this. And he had a big scope ring over his eye where he'd scoped himself. And you don't need it. You just need to be proficient. Some of the best hunters I know hunt with an .06.
Bigger's not always better, but everyone thinks it is. They want to spend the money. They want the bigger truck. They want the bigger rifle. They want that 40 caliber, that 45. Bigger is better. It's all about the shot that hits its mark.
Yep, it's the same way with self-defense. It's about hitting the target and being proficient. So you would be much better served, rather than spend the extra $200 on the bigger Magnum caliber rifle, spend that in ammunition for the one that you have and go practice.
They say, there's that saying, fear the man who only has one gun, because he's going to know how to use that firearm because he's practiced with it.
Caller, did you say you had something else as well?
No, I was just curious about, I see this a lot in my hunting friends and hunting partners and my coworkers. They all have to have the 300 Ultra. They have to, I want to reach out if I want to be able to take a 600-yard shot. And I don't feel comfortable shooting at those distances. I just never have. I don't own a belted Magnum. I never saw the need for one. And like I said, I need to practice with what I have.
I don't feel comfortable shooting over 200 yards, to be honest with you, at a deer. And I mean, I have, but I don't feel comfortable doing it. I'd like to see them at 100, 140, or close as I can get.
Yeah, and to talk to that caller, I actually do have a 300 Winchester Magnum. It's one of my favorite calibers to shoot, but it's a good flat shooting round. But, I don't engage targets, live targets at that kind of range. It mostly comes down to, knowing what your rifle will do and then being proficient with it.
You shouldn't have to do a trigonometry problem to be able to shoot your deer or elk.
Yep.
I had a friend, my dad had a friend. We had a neighbor growing up, and Mr. Curtin, and he had been a sharpshooter in the Army. And he once, my dad told me the story, he said he could take out a chipmunk at 1,400 yards. And I was impressed. I never went out hunting with the guy, obviously, but I was impressed when I heard about his skill. I mean, it was like Chris Kyle type of skill,
right?
With a long distance. And I don't know if he's still with us any longer, but he was the type of neighbor you didn't mess with. He's the fellow who was making his own rounds in his basement when I remember being a kid and going over there and visiting.
People are so obsessed. When it comes to hunting, everyone thinks to be successful at it, you need to kill something. You need to kill something every year. You got to be able to put that picture on Facebook. You know what? You don't. Forrest mentioned it earlier. I think I've mentioned it more than once. I think you've talked about it, Bill. It's all about going out there and making memories and teaching your kids that when they do go out, it's not always about shooting something. Hunting is the experience. Hunting is the camping. Hunting is waking up early in the morning, the smell of the campfire, the learning how to read sign, the learning how to sneak up on the animals, the being out there at first light when the world is waking up. I mean, that is hunting. And if you shoot something, if you're successful and everything comes together, that's a benefit.
Yeah, I grew up in a part of the country too. Hunting season usually means 40 degrees and rain and dampness. Here you can at least generally be dry while you're out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love being out there with my boys. Some of my best memories are being out there with my uncle and my dad, and being on the mountain, and getting prepared for it, and looking forward to it. Maybe getting to miss a little school to go do it. That was always nice. But yeah, just get your kids out there and just just be with them and make it enjoyable. And if you know an old guy who maybe has lost a lot of his friends, throw him in pickup with you. Take him
Yep.
hunting. They love that stuff. They love to just go. They don't have to walk a million miles, but it'll be fun to be out. I'm going to be in Unit 44 this weekend, helping someone get a bull elk, and I'm just looking forward to the experience of going out and being there.
Just the opposite. I mean, just same thing that you said, though. There's a lot of young boys out there that want to hunt that may not have a dad or have a father figure in their life, and they want to do this stuff. And the mom doesn't know anything about it or whatever. But offer to be that person. If you're taking your kids out as well, see if he wants to join you. Maybe help him get through hunter safety. Take him out and teach him about what he can enjoy in the great state of Idaho.
I have an example of we talk about what's wrong with this country, and here's something. This is a perfect example. A few years ago, the Boy Scouts did something. It was called the 50 and 20. You had to walk 50 miles in 20 hours. And they started out by Oakley, and they walked right into their twin, not too far from the station. And they mapped it out where it would be 50 miles. Well, they had a couple hundred, like 250 boys show up for this. And my oldest son, he was 13, 14 at the time. So they start walking. And about halfway was Murtaugh Lake, kind of by where I live. So I went out to see if I could find him and see how he's doing. Well, I'm driving by all these scouts. And then I come across my son, and he's right at the end of the pack, him and his two friends. Well, one of his friends was just getting in a car and being driven off when I got there. He was quitting. So it was my son and his one friend that were left. And he was limping really bad, and the leaders were like, well, just put him in your car and drive up to the next check station. I said, well, if we do that, he won't have finished this. So I said, I'll walk with you. So I parked my car, and I turned the hazard lights on. I said, I'll walk this mile with you. So I walked that mile. Well, I ended up walking the last 30 miles with him, and he made it. Him and his friend were the first two kids to finish, and it ended up, out of the 250 kids, only 6 kids finished. Well, on our way out, we drove out. And I see all these moms in their car with like 2 or 3 other kids driving along beside their boys, trying to help them to finish. And I just didn't see any dads. Dads, as much as they've been maligned by the media, as much as they've been maligned in television shows, they are important. A lot of these kids don't have the benefit of having a dad who's present, who's engaged, who wants to be a part of their lives. So pick one up, adopt them. Now, when I say that, just take them and do things. Show them what a father figure should be like, because when they become a dad one day, they'll have those memories and they'll have those experiences to draw off of, so they can be a good father.
We had 2 school teachers when I was in junior high who they would take the young boys out who lost their dads. A lot of times, if their dads had died, they would make sure they took them out hunting, which I always thought was it also made them better students, because after that they wanted to impress these teachers and realized they'd done something for them. We have a caller with us at 9:54. Caller, you're up next, and you're on Top Story on KLIX.
Yes, excuse me. I just want all the listeners to know about the Dustin Fitzpatrick Benefit Tri-Tip Dinner and Auction that will be held from 5 to 8, Saturday, the 14th, at the Messerschmitt Building at the Jerome County Fairgrounds.
So tomorrow.
That's right.
Yeah, and we have the tickets at Washington Street Pawn. If you'd like to get a ticket, just stop in and get them. We've actually still got some tickets available for the rifle. This will be the last day you can buy a ticket at the pawn shop, but then you'll be able to buy some at the benefit dinner as well.
Want to thank him for the update too as well. 9:55. Quickly, we were talking earlier about if you're going out hunting, maybe taking a sidearm as well. Sometimes, depending on where you live or what you're doing, a rifle actually still is a defensive weapon, and might actually be in some cases more important than having that pistol or revolver with you too.
Yeah. We're both looking at each
You have
other.
a lot of Bobcat, or if you have coyote, whatever in the neighborhood?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's going to be better than most handguns on, for a wolf or a bear or something like that. A lot of times though, sometimes it's a little harder to get that rifle up real quick. They
Mhm.
can be used. If you got your handgun there, sometimes, that might be a little quicker to get to. It just kind of depends on what you're shooting at. But yeah, a rifle can be used as a defensive weapon as well.
I would think a shotgun would work well against a coyote or a smaller animal, but against a bear, probably a rifle.
Double aught buck is pretty effective
Yeah.
out to, with the right choke, out to 70 yards. I mean,
Yeah.
I've never seen a coyote drop faster than when getting shot with double aught buck. It just puts them right down.
Yeah.
So,
With a bear, of course, they can charge really fast, and so you may be better off still with a pistol in that situation because they're going to be closing on you in a matter of
500 Smith.
oh, I don't know. I would think a lot of the guides in Alaska use 12 gauge shotguns
They
with
do.
slugs.
Yeah.
Because you can be really fast
And they're usually
efficient,
short ones.
and they're ultra reliable
Yeah.
as well. A pump shotgun.
We've only got about a minute. I'm going to squeeze one last caller in here. Caller, it has to be quick. You're on the air at 9:56. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just enjoyed the comment about the kids hunting. I think we also need to make the point that in this day and age, these kids are preferring to play video games rather than hunt. And I've been fortunate enough to bring my son up hunting, and it's nice that he wants to go hunting. He says, "Hey, Dad, let's go hunting," not vanishing down into the game room and playing video games. And now he's starting to get some of his buddy friends out hunting too that have never hunted. So that's just another side issue, I think, in this day and age, what these boys are doing, and kids are tending to, turn their lives over to watching video games and playing video games rather than enjoying the outdoors. And that's all I had to say.
That's a great point.
And it's not just sons, it's not just boys. Take your daughters out. Females are getting into hunting like crazy. Take them out. Let them enjoy it. Some of them really like it. My daughter loves to go hunting. She had surgery on her hand, didn't think she was going to be able to hunt this year, and she was in tears.
Empower them.
Yep.
Give them some confidence because they're going to need it because this world still is slanted kind of against them. Give them an opportunity to get the confidence and the strength, so it'll help them in all aspects.
They can raise their sons up as well into hunting.
Yeah, because someone is going to need to carry that torch. Coming up I want to thank Forrest Anderson for Washington Street Pawn and Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense. We're coming up on 10 o'clock news from Fox. Rush Limbaugh's show will follow that. And Bill Colley saying have a great weekend. God willing, if the creek don't rise, I'll be back here Monday morning between 8 and 10 o'clock.